Hi, I'm Dr. Lori. I'm back with Real Bargains. This is where, of course, people like you are finding treasures at thrift stores, yard sales, antique shops. I have permission to retell all of these stories. Oh my gosh, you're not going to even believe it. Well, I say that every time. Anyway, Real Bargains. So my first real bargain comes from an online appraisal report. That's where people submit an object, an image of an object through photographs to my website, drloriv.com, and I provide a report to them. So this one came from a purchase. The person who owned this piece, I prepared the appraisal report. She said, my mom purchased this years and years ago, and mom has since passed away. So she was getting concerned about this piece, and she wanted me to take a look at it because she had a lot of information not from her mom about it. She did not have a lot of information from her mom about it. She said, I got your online appraisal report, Dr. Lori, and I was really amazed at the online appraisal report. So this is what this piece is. It's a German Steiff teddy bear. Now, many of you are probably familiar with Steiff teddy bears, right? Teddy bears like this one. This one is from about 1905. And my research also showed that it's something called a center seam teddy bear. And that's very important for Steiff stuffed animals, which are the German stuffed animals made by the famous firm. It has jointed limbs. I always do this, jointed limbs, right? And it also has paw pads that are felt, and all these criteria, all these characteristics are really important. So felt paw pads with embroidered claws, 5 embroidered claws, and this was indicative of circa early 1900 or about 1905 teddy bears like this made by Steiff. It had shoe button eyes, which the eyes look like the buttons that would have been on old-fashioned shoes. And of course, it's made of mohair and mixed media. It's a beautiful example. It's a beautiful color. It's in gorgeous condition. So I did the appraisal, and I sent the appraisal to my client, and she said, Dr. Lori, I wanted a written appraisal from you because I had this listed on eBay, and the trolls were attacking me about it. Many of them wanted me to sell it to them outright as opposed to go through my auction. Some of them said that it wasn't real. Some of them said all different things. The trolls are out there. You have to be careful if you are selling. You have to be careful of what people are saying. A lot of people have their own agenda at heart and not your best interest at heart. So she said, I decided that with all of that, I stopped the auction, I kept the teddy bear, and I turned to you. I got the appraisal from you, and I know that my mother would have told me if she thought this object was valuable. She left me notes before she passed about all the objects in our home that were valuable. She left little notes around, so I know Mom would have been knowledgeable if she thought she knew that this piece was actually a Steiff. This piece also had a tag in its ear. It's very well known that Steiff pieces have a little yellow ribbon typically and a little metal ear tag, a little button in the ear. This one did have a button, in fact, and characteristic of the early time period, the button was in fact blank. So having said that, I got back to her, I did the research, I found the piece, and I said, well, would your mother have paid a lot for the piece? She said, well, probably not. It sat on a deacon's bench in our home for years and years and years. And in fact, she probably would have paid anywhere under $50 for it somewhere in her travels. Okay, so it's sitting there for a long time. Mom has passed probably 8 to 10 years at this point. So it's been around for a good long time. She paid less than $50 for it, her mother did, and it sat in her home for a long time. I did the written appraisal document, and she was shocked to learn that her piece is worth $18,500. Yeah, you're wondering why the trolls want her to sell it to them? That's why. $18,500. So basically, she said they were attacking me. I'm so glad that I turned to you, and thank goodness for the online appraisal report. That's a real bargain. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. Make sure you know what you've got. This next real bargain comes from an online appraisal report, and this piece was from a thrift store find, actually in Goodwill. My client submitted photos of these 6 chargers. These chargers are marked very clearly, made in Mexico. They're 11 inches in diameter each. There's 6 of them. They have, of course, that border, that sort of raised border, and oftentimes chargers are pretty large plates, okay? You put another plate inside of it, and it makes a dinner table look very regal and formal. So she said, I said, how did you acquire them? As I was doing the appraisal report research. She said, how did you acquire them? She said, I went and I dropped my kids off at school. I went to the thrift store near my kids' school. And then I, in fact, went in and I saw these silver metal plates underneath a lot of ceramic plates. And I thought, well, let's go over and look at those. I was impressed by the heft, she said, or the weight. She said, and then I turned one over, and I saw the price tag, which was $2.49 at Goodwill. She said, I saw the mark, which said Eco in Mexico or Made in Mexico, and Sterling 925. Each one of them marked Sterling 925 Mexican silver. And she said, I saw them. I saw the $2.49 price tag, and you can see it right here. It's still on the back of the plate. She said, I bought all 6 of them right on the spot. She said, once I saw the marks, I knew that I had something great, and I knew exactly where I needed to go for the written appraisal report. I said, well, I'm happy to provide that report because you know what they're worth for 6? $1,750 for 6 of them. That's right. They're beautiful sterling silver, 11 inches in diameter each. They're a real bargain too. My gosh, that was a great ride after school drop-off. This next real bargain comes from a video call. And now my video caller says that she does buy a lot of costume jewelry and she was very impressed with this set. She said she paid a little more than what she wanted for it, but she thought it was worth it. So I'll get to that in a minute. This is a costume jewelry set. It's a brooch and, of course, earrings, matching earrings, made by the designer Marcel Boucher. Now, Boucher costume jewelry sets are very, very desirable. They're clearly marked. You can see the Boucher mark on the back of this piece. And the brooch and the earring set have something that's very desirable and characteristic of Boucher's designs. They're called baby teeth faux Baroque pearls. So they're not real. They are baby teeth. They look like actual little small human teeth. They're very small and they're placed into this environment of this nice gold tone metal setting. If you look at the pin in the back, you'd recognize, of course, the mid-century modern era pin, and you can see that the metal is also, as I said, marked. So I asked my video caller, so what did you pay? She said, I paid $60 at the antique mall. She said, I didn't have an opportunity really to negotiate with the dealer. They weren't there. You know, they take care, usually a co-op, they take care of, there's someone at the cash register taking care of everybody's booth kind of thing. So she said she didn't negotiate, but she liked it and she thought that it was probably worth more than the $60 that she invested. And she was right. The set is worth $400. That's right, costume jewelry with a name like that, with some details like the baby teeth, faux Baroque pearls, always a real bargain. This next real bargain you might be able to recognize if you love Lalique and French, of course, crystal and French glass. This piece came from a video call and it was purchased at an estate sale. So this person said, Dr. Lori, I bought a lot of stuff at this estate sale. I bought jewelry, I bought glassware, I bought all kinds of items, I bought accessories, I bought a lot of stuff at this piece, but 3 pieces of Lalique came together, and this is 2 of them. These 2 are a pair. They are, in fact, Lalique vanity or powder jars with their matching lids. They're in a pattern that Lalique made famous called the cactus blossom. And of course, they are in the Art Deco style. Now, these pieces, René Lalique was very well known for Art Deco and then Art Moderne pieces that relate to floral forms. In this particular case, a flower of the cactus blossom type. And they're used for powder on a vanity or a bureau. And you take the lid off the top that has that nice flower form on it. And then in the base of this, you can see where you would put the face powder. And then there would be a powder puff that you would put around on your face. As I said, they are signed. They're signed, engraved Lalique, France. You can see that here. And of course, they date to the mid-20th century. She paid $20. Now, she bought a whole lot of stuff, but when you break it down, she paid about $20 for these 2 pieces. That's $10 for each jar with its lid matching, and they are a match. So for the pair, because most women would have 2 of these jars, powder jars, on their vanity, for the pair, what did I appraise it for during the video call? $600 for the pair. That's right. 2 bases, 2 lids, Lalique, great name in French, of course, glassware and crystal. That was a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from an online appraisal report, and this was from a Salvation Army thrift store purchase. So I saw this piece, and this piece was very interesting to me because it's a relatively rare piece. Now, many of you will look at figurines, and many of you will say, oh no, figurines, they're not worth anything. On these videos, I've told you about Meissen figurines. I've told you about Yadro figurines. I've told you about Precious Moments figurines. I've told you about Hummel figurines and how valuable they can be. This real bargain came from the Salvation Army, and the gentleman who purchased it said, well, when I saw this, I basically thought, oh my gosh, I kind of think it might be a Hummel, but I don't really know what to look for. I don't really recognize any marks on it, but you know what? I think I'll buy it anyway. So I did the appraisal report for him, and I was able to show him, right? I always show you how to tell. Show him, in fact, that this was a Goebel piece made by the Goebel company in the manner, of course, of Sister Maria Hummel's drawings, which are then made into earthenware ceramic hand-painted pieces, figurines in this particular case. This is the Immaculate Heart of the Virgin Mary. It's a statue of the Virgin Mary in an image that we typically do not see. We oftentimes see the Madonna and Child by Goebel or Hummel figurines of that type. This one is tall. It's 11 inches tall. It's not a 5.5 inch. It's not a 6 inch. It's 11 inches tall. It's tall. So it's a big figurine of earthenware ceramic that's been hand painted. The color is rare. Mary's usually shown in blue, which I've talked to you about in other videos, but also you'll notice that there is the contrasting color of her underclothing and of course the Immaculate Heart image. So you're seeing that as well. Having said that, on the underside you can see the mark. There's a label for it, and there's also a mark, the Goebel company mark, dating this piece to the 1950s. And this particular piece in the appraisal report that I prepared, this piece came in pretty high, right? So I asked my client, what did you pay for it? He said, I paid 99 cents for it. I was surprised. I saw it at the Salvation Army and I thought, well, she kind of looked like a Hummel. So maybe what I'm going to do is just buy it for $1, 99 cents. What was it worth? Was it a good deal? It's worth $750 based on actual sales records where similar pieces have sold. That's right, for a Hummel figurine 11 inches tall of the Virgin Mary, a similar one to this rare type sold at $750. That's a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from a video call, and it was purchased at an estate sale. I really like these pieces. I like something that's a little bit more unusual when it comes to a piece of jewelry. This particular piece is a watch necklace on a chain. Now let's talk a little bit about, let's break this down. You know, you have to break it down. Let's break this down. There's the pocket watch, or what would be considered the lavalier watch, right? It looks like a pocket watch. And then there's the chain itself. Now they go together. They're still together. People could separate them out, but most people don't because of that loop at the bottom that holds the pendant or holds the watch. The pocket watch is marked with a Swiss movement of Le Coutre, very, very well-known Le Coutre brand, and it is marked. This particular piece is 15 jewels, so it's not the most accurate watch that you've got, but this piece is 14 karat white gold. It also has a diamonds, and it also, in fact, has blue steel hands and some black enamel work. There are small seed pearls around the chain, but with the watch, the bezel has a little tiny pearl too. It's a beautiful example. When you turn the watch over, you can see the diamond chip in the middle of the back of it, as well as the enamel work on, of course, the 14 karat white gold. It's a very nice piece if you just had the watch. So the watch is attached to this necklace chain, and the necklace chain is marked 18 karat white gold. It has black enamel as well, and it also has those seed pearls that I mentioned. So I said to my video caller, I said, how did you acquire this? She said, I acquired it at an estate sale. I paid about $20 for it. I said, $20 for it. It dates, of course, to about the 1940s to the 1960s. And value on it, here's the real bargain, $675 for that beautiful watch as well as the chain. Yes, the watch is in working condition, and yes, the chain actually falls almost about 30 inches in length. It's beautiful. This next real bargain comes from a video call, and this video call was from a charity auction. Now, I've told you about art. I've told you a lot about art and the way in which art, in fact, will impact value. Certain pieces of art will be much more valuable than others based on how the composition of the artwork is, who's the artist, the condition of the piece, the subject matter, all different types of things. So this particular piece comes from a charity auction. My client, who was a video caller, said, well, Dr. Lori, you know, I paid $5 at the auction. I was the only bidder on the piece. It's a watercolor, and this watercolor is by an artist named Gerald Collins Gleason. And Gerald Collins Gleason was a Rhode Island-based artist who was trained at the Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, in Providence, Rhode Island, and then moved to the Bay Area in California and taught and also made his way as a member of the American Watercolor Society in California. So he painted a lot of bridges and wharfs and images like this one. So I said, well, this is a beautiful piece. It's 19 by 25 inches. It is unframed, and it has an estate signature on the back. So it was signed by the estate of the artist. Once the artist died, there was more pieces left in his studio. The estate comes in, and people responsible for the estate, maybe it's a gallery owner or a member of the family, signs a name on the back to document that it's his work. It's not a forged signature. It's an estate stamp, typically, or signature. So they had that, and I said, wow, this is beautiful. And I said, this is a great piece. You paid $5. She said, yes. And then I made a little donation to the charity because I wanted to do something for the charity as well because, of course, I got this beautiful watercolor for $5. I decided to sell it. So I sold the piece online. I said, okay. I said, have you sold it yet? She said, no, but I'm decided that I'm going to sell it. I said, well, your piece is worth $500 for your $5 investment. That was a real bargain right out of the chute. What's more, proof is in the pudding. It sold for what? $500, just what I said it was worth. She sold it online. She was thrilled that she sold it online, and she said that the buyer was really happy to receive the piece as well. That was a real bargain too. This is Dr. Lori. That's Real Bargains. I hope you find your real bargain real soon.